Hello and welcome to my beginner series. My name is Kieran and today we're going to be talking about bar chords. If you want to skip the waffle and get straight down to practicing, please skip to the practice section of the video. But if you want a deeper understanding of what's actually going on, please stay with us. Enjoy. Okay, so does this sound familiar? You discover a new song on Spotify. You go, what a wonderful tune. It has a wonderful guitar part and you think, I can't wait to sit down and practice that. So go onto Google, type in the song, type up the chords, and you look through, everything seems to be fine, and then you see a F or a B minor. You see a bar chord come up, and suddenly you realise that you hate that song and you never wanted to play it in the first place. So you put your guitar down and walk away. 20 minutes later, you come back to that same Google search and see if there's any version of that song that doesn't have a bar chord in it. Okay, so we're avoiding those at all points because they're nightmares. What should we do? Okay, what we want to understand first about bar chords is that they're not much more difficult than basic chords, okay, or open chords. But the positioning is wildly different. So if you look at my hand for some open chords, for example, we've got G, we've got D, and we've got E minor. For example, something like that. You can see that my thumb is up high. You can see that my hand is open and kind of facing me. Both of those positions won't work for your bar chord because we want to make sure that our first finger can run flush with our fret. So, and for us to be able to do that, to get into that position, our palm must be facing straight up to the ceiling. Okay, so to start with, what we're going to be doing is rather than have this kind of in the crook of our thumb position, we're going to be working more with a pinch. So my thumb is almost kind of down to about halfway down the neck and kind of almost pinching the neck like this. Okay, so that's our start point. They're different. They're not just more difficult. Okay, so and we still want to focus on the positioning of the other fingers. Just because we've now got a bar, the new thing, we have to apply this bar. A lot of guitarists will apply all of the force to that bar and then try to get your fingers into the position for the rest of it. Where these fingers are covering, say for example in a B minor chord, we want 5 strings ringing out. A, D, G, B and E. Okay. Now, our other fingers, our second finger, our third finger, and our little finger are accounting for 3 of those strings. So our bar is only really accounting for the A string and the E string. So if we put all of our emphasis into that, it's not really making much of a difference. So we want to make sure that we're still working with positioning on all the rest of the fingers, and then the bar is kind of working with that same thing as well. So how do we practice this? Okay, so how we practice this is not much different to how we practice basic chords, but there is an extra step to apply the bar. Okay, so let's take that B minor that we mentioned earlier, which is this shape. Okay, now this structure here, if we take away the bar, this structure here is our open A minor chord. Okay, it's a movable version of that chord. Okay, so if we take this A minor shape, what we want to do is to start with, get rid of the bar and just make that A minor position or that B minor position without the bar. So you'll see it here. What we want to be able to do is make that shape and have the open strings ringing out nice and clear, as well as the strings that are being fretted. Okay, which is a nice chord in itself. Okay, so we want to make sure that is stable before we apply the bar, because often what we'll find is we'll squeeze here and these fingers will buckle and it will just sound terrible anyway. So getting those fingers in place first, making sure they can ring out nicely. Now what we're going to do is, without losing position here, we want to straighten our finger, and it's straightening our finger from the knuckle. We don't want to have that as a straight finger. That's not a straight finger either. We want to straighten it out right in front of us. And now what we want to do is roll it flat. Even if we have to bring our knuckles forward in front of the guitar, roll it flat across the fret. Okay, now that is going to give you a much better sound than if you're already struggling with it than before. Okay, so we want to be able to do straighten our finger, roll it round, and then apply pressure. So when we apply pressure, all of the same things apply. We're trying to tuck our fingers into the fret as much as we can. We apply pressure evenly and then play. Okay, so the exercise, what we want to do is we want to get our fingers on first, these fingers on first, and that could be one step. You could just practice that going on and off if that's not feeling comfortable. So on and off with that shape until that feels comfortable. Then the next step of that is we straighten our finger, roll our hand round, and make sure that goes straight from our knuckle. And then we apply pressure evenly. Then take the pressure off and take the hand away. Okay, so on, straighten, apply the bar, squeeze evenly, play, and then release the pressure on the strings so you're still in control of the strings, and then let go. Repeating that over and over again. Again, watching films, if you're watching a film, take away the strumming part, just apply the chord over and over again. You'll get so much practice out of that without putting in too much effort. Okay, so give that one a try.